Hi. Okay. So if you were on the webinar or the attempted webinar today, first of all, I am very, very sorry because it just did not work out as planned. So anyway, yeah, the audio wasn't working and the webinar, the camera, I guess you couldn't see me. So anyway, you know, that's technology for you, right? I tested it last night. I tested it this morning, and it was all fine. And then, you know, today, when everybody's live on the call, it's not so fine. Anyhow, you are all very, very gracious, and I really appreciate that. And, you know, I want to take a minute to talk about stuff like this and the importance of how you think about things that happen in your life, and how I think that everything is an opportunity for self-care. So the webinar, right? You know, I want to do something. I want to share information about self-care. I want to talk to you about my program. I want to talk to you about the different areas of self-care. So I plan a webinar. Hey, it's free. It's you know, we'll connect. You get some information. Hopefully you can change your thinking about self-care. And it doesn't work. And so, you know, quite honestly, my initial thought when it wasn't working was to say, oh, wow, gosh, okay, I'm sorry, and shut it all off and go hide somewhere because it didn't work out. But you know what? I didn't do that, and I'm really glad I didn't do that. And you know, it's one of those things. You know, I didn't intend for it not to work, obviously, and I could have taken that event and I could have really beat myself up about it and said, gosh, you know, I'm a big loser. You know, here I'm trying to teach people something, trying to help people, and I can't even work a webinar right. You know, and that crossed my mind. You know, I thought, I had this brief thought of, okay, I can get off of Facebook and I can hide and I'll never see any of these people again. And I guess I could do that, but that's a little extreme. And so anyway, I'm going to take this as an opportunity to be compassionate with myself and understanding, and realize that, hey, it didn't work out the way that I wanted it to. But that's okay, because things happen, or don't happen in this case. You know, I really appreciate all you guys who stayed on the line and chatted with me. That was fantastic. And great idea about the video. I like to think I might have thought of that later, but I might not have. So, okay, let's talk about the webinar. We're like an hour late, but that's okay. I do have a few areas that I really want to touch on today. But before I do that, I want to issue a challenge to you. We tend to think about self-care as an event. You know, I talk to a lot of people about self-care, and people will say to me, yeah, you know, I mean, I work out and I eat healthy, and so I'm doing really good with my self-care. Or, you know, I got a massage last month and I'm really, you know, excited that I'm taking better care of myself. And those things are awesome, right? Don't get me wrong, they're really fantastic. But I want to challenge you to move away from the mindset that self-care is a set of actions, a list of these things that we have to do to be providing good self-care for ourselves. I want to challenge you to think of self-care as a way of being, a way of life, a thought process, And I want you to try to move away from self-care being this list of stuff that you have to do, or even if you want to do it, it's, you know, we still want to move away from it being this tangible stuff that you have to do. And I want it to become a mindset and a way of life and a way of showing yourself the same kindness and compassion that we show other people. Because we do that, right? We're really kind to others, and we, a lot of us are therapists, and so we talk self-care to clients all the time. And we tell them how important it is, and we tell them that they should do that, and they should put themselves first, and they should take care of themselves. But somehow we don't do that. You know, when it comes to our own self-care, we have so many things to do and so many people to take care of, and we very, very often as therapists do not take care of ourselves. You know, I have a practice, and I have clients that I deal with, and then I work with therapists, you know, on self-care coaching. And let me tell you that the therapists that I work with are by far harder to convince to take time out for themselves, which is why I think this is so important. Just a little bit of a background for those of you who might not know on why I talk about self-care. I've been licensed as a therapist in the state of Arkansas since 1998, I think. It's a long time, and I love my job. Absolutely, positively love it and don't want to do anything else. However, in the process of loving my job, I got really busy doing stuff. I like to create programs. I had this idea that I wanted to be in administration at the agency level for a little while, and so, well, for like 10 years, that was that was kind of my goal. And so I worked very strategically to get experience in a lot of different areas, to get experience working with all different populations and working with programming and administration and budgeting and all that fun stuff. Because I had this idea that I wanted to get to a certain admin level, and that I guess I thought then that I would be happy and that would be good, and my life would be complete. So, you know, I did that. I worked very strategically and very hard to get to that point. And I got, not to the point that I wanted to, but I did get up into some administrative level stuff. And I realized very quickly that that was not what I wanted to do. For a variety of different reasons, it just did not suit me. I'm not sure what I expected it to be, but it wasn't. It wasn't that. But in the process of doing all that, what I realized is that I was not taking time for myself. I thought I was, because I was working very strategically on these goals, my career goals. But what happened was that I ended up being exhausted and resentful and super duper busy in several different jobs that I really wasn't happy in. And so I decided to take a step back, and I started researching things that interested me on a personal level. I got into yoga and meditation and mindfulness, and that's really where my self-care journey began. And when I began to implement these different things into my life, I began to notice that I felt so much better. I was happier. I was more at peace. I was much nicer to be around. I lost some of the super unhealthy coping skills that I had. And that really led me to where I am today, because I realized that self-care is important. And I know how much I struggled with it. And so in the process of creating my own self-care plan, I kind of created this program that's turned into the program that I offer now. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in a little bit. But anyway, so the self-care quiz. I think that probably most of you have taken my quiz. If you haven't, then please stop this video and go do that. You can find it if you were signed up for the webinar. There was a link to the quiz on the email that you should have gotten as confirmation and to get you to the webinar. There's a link for the quiz, and so you can stop and you can go take that. And if you've already taken it, then I want to talk about that for just a few minutes. Now, I created that quiz in the way that I did because of that notion that people have that self-care is a list of things you need to do. I created the self-care quiz to hopefully give you an idea of all the different things that self-care can encompass. You know, it involves things like eating right, and being, healthy and exercising. But it also involves things like your routines. Are they nurturing? Are you compassionate towards yourself? Do you have support, real support? Do you have hobbies, that you love and that you're passionate about and that energize you? Do you have a group of friends that support you? Do you know what your values are? And then do you really think about them and make decisions based on those values? Do you live with intent and think daily, what do I want to accomplish today and how can I do that? And then do you check back in with your intent? Or do you just kind of go about your day haphazardly, not really knowing what your goal is? One of the questions that I laugh about, because it really is kind of funny and people look at me funny when I talk about this, but I think it's number 10 on the quiz, and the question is, do you stop and go to the bathroom when you need to? And the reason that I put that on there is because so many people do not. And I used to be one of them, and sometimes I still catch myself doing that. And it's really kind of funny. Heather, I don't think you're on here, but maybe. Anyway, I've asked that question a number of times to a number of different people. When you have to pee, do you stop and go? If you have to go to the bathroom, do you take a break and go? And so often the answer is no. And that really kind of hit me, that we neglect our self-care often to the point that we don't go to the bathroom when we need to. And I used to catch myself doing this. It's like I'd run around all day, busy doing things, and I had to go to the bathroom half the day, and it would take me hours to stop and go. And that is unhealthy on so many levels. The physical level, it's not healthy. You need to, you need bladder infections, all sorts of stuff like that. But it's also kind of a basic sign to yourself that, hey, yeah, you need to go to the bathroom, but that's not important enough to stop what you're doing. So just keep pushing through, and maybe you can go later. That to me is very significant. And it's very big sign that we really need to work on our self-care. I wanted to talk too about some of the questions that are no's most often. I look at a lot of quizzes, and I like looking at the quizzes because it helps me know what sort of programs to create and what to touch on in those programs. And I also find it really very interesting to see. And there's often a pattern of responses that are usually no. I chatted a little bit about this as I attempted to do the webinar today, and shared that one of those areas is asking for help. You know, we just tend to not do that. Many of us feel very vulnerable when we ask for help. It can be scary. It can be intimidating, because what if someone says no to us? You know, we like to feel competent. We like to know what we're doing. And there's this thought that if we ask for help, then we're admitting that we don't know what we're doing, and we can't do it all. But you know, what's wrong with that? We as humans, our brains are hardwired to connect to other people. But so very often when we neglect self-care, we end up living in this isolated bubble that we create, and we try to do everything ourselves, and we don't ask for help because we don't want to look like we can't do it, or we don't want to admit that we need help. We don't want to be vulnerable. But that is a huge area that if you can make a shift in, if you can recognize when you need help, and then you can ask people for that, that is a huge area of self-care. It can really, you can get a huge impact from that. Living with intent. I think it's the second question on the quiz. You know, do you set a daily intention or intentions every day? Have you identified the values that are the most important to you? And then do you ask yourself when making choices how that fits with your values? You know, so if simplicity, you know, or serenity is a value of mine, and I say yes, yes, yes to everything, I'm probably not going to achieve that, right? I'm not upholding the value that I identified myself as being important to me. Because if I say yes, yes, yes to everything, which that's another question on the quiz, but anyway, if I say yes to everything, then I'm not going to have a simple life. I'm not going to have a lot of serenity, because I'm going to be busy doing and not being. So you know, do you think about it? So if family, you know, is family your top value, yet you don't stop and ask yourself when you make a life choice, whether it's work or personal or family or church or whatever, if you don't stop and think, how will this affect my family? And will the impact be positive or negative? Then so often we find ourselves doing things that go against our values. And so maybe we're not really doing anything wrong, but we're not serving ourselves, and we're not upholding the things that we chose to be the most important. You know, setting an intention for the day. When you get up in the morning, do you think of some things that you want to achieve? And not necessarily just, you know, I want to go to work and I want to mop the floor and I want to do these things. You set an intention on how you want to be. Maybe you want to be very mindful throughout the day. Maybe you want to be present with your kids and you want to put your phone away and you want to color with them all evening. Or you want to just, you might decide that you want to smile at strangers today. There's any number of things that you can do, but I find setting an intention and then checking back in with it throughout the day to be so helpful in remembering and in really living my life. You think about your memory. We don't remember huge periods of time, do we? You don't remember a whole year. You don't remember a whole month, a whole week. You don't. Even at the end of the day, you don't remember a whole day. What you remember is moments. And when you are intentional with those moments, and when you stop and check back in and think, am I doing what I set out to do? Just by stopping and becoming aware and becoming mindful, you're creating memories. You are adding moments to your memory bank. Because if you stop and think about it, you're so much more likely to remember it than if you just kind of fly through it without thinking. Routines, gosh. Routines cover several questions in the quiz. Do you have a morning routine that nourishes you? Do you have an evening routine when you come in from work? A way to signal to your brain and your body that we're home and it's time to relax now. And then, the ever important nighttime routine that so many people don't do. When I talk to people doing consultations and coaching with self-care, and when I look at the quiz answers, so many people do not have routines. And if I could encourage you to change, any one area of your life, if you could establish some really healthy routines around your nighttime, your morning, your evening, you're going to be amazed at the positive impact that has on your daily life. In the mornings, do you get up just in time to hop out of bed, run, get a shower, run, get dressed, get your kids ready, make lunches, and run out the door, and you're late or almost late every day? Or do you get up and do you have some time to stretch or exercise or journal or pray or meditate or sit on the couch with your puppy dogs and drink some coffee? Anything to kind of ease into your day and take that time to journal, to set some intentions. That can really impact how your day runs, how your day goes. It sort of sets the tone for your day. When you come home from work, or some of us work from home, and so when we do that, when we work from home, it can be really hard to differentiate between work and life, right? Something that I find really helpful is having a routine, something that signifies to me that, hey, I'm off work for now. It can be anything. You can take a bath when you get home. Literally wash the energy that you've taken in from other people off of you. I like to do it like a cleansing kind of ritual with my energy. Not necessarily a bath, but I just do some deep breathing. And I set free the negative energy that I might have absorbed during the day. And it sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's really effective for me. So I might sit down and do some deep breathing and then do a body scan and just kind of let go of all attention, all the negative stuff that I have taken on that's not serving me. And I just ask it to go away. And to, I don't care where it goes, because that, after it leaves me, then it's out of my control. I don't have anything else to do with it. And so, I often think that probably it just sort of goes back to wherever it came from, or, it just kind of goes away. But me having some sort of a routine that I do that, do you put on your comfortable clothes when you come in? Man, I love pajamas. I could live in pajamas because they're so comfortable. And so when I come home and I do that energetic clearing, or I take a bath, I take my work clothes off, and I put on my pajamas, and I wash my makeup off. I mean, I don't wear a whole lot anyway, but I just get rid of it, and I just really transition into home and into my life away from work. But if you don't have a routine, if you don't have a way of doing that that's established, then a lot of times you can find that you're carrying that energy all throughout your night. And it's not serving you, and it's not serving anyone. It's not serving your clients for you to hold on to that. It's certainly not serving your family, and it's not serving you. So that's an important routine that I would recommend, that you can kind of try to figure out what works for you. Nighttime routine. This is probably the most important. I used to go through my day, and I'd get up and I'd get started really early, 5 a.m., and I would go, and I would go, and I would go, and I would go, and then, at 10 or 11, I would stop, and I'd collapse in bed, and I couldn't sleep. Because then, all the stuff I'd done all day was spinning around in my head, right? Bet we've all been there. You're thinking of, what did I do, or what didn't I do, or what did I mess up today, or what do I need to do tomorrow? And we can't sleep, and so then we lay awake half the night, trying to stop thinking, or trying to make a plan so we can put it out of our heads. And what usually ends up happening is that we don't sleep well. So we get up, and then we watch TV, or we get online, or we, do something that typically is counterproductive to resting and sleeping. So a nighttime routine can be so immensely helpful in self-care. Set the shutdown time for whatever time it may be. If you want to go to bed at 10:30, I suggest an hour to an hour and a half, and turn electronics off. Turn the TV off, turn your computer off, quit looking at your phone, quit checking Facebook and social media, and reading your emails. Because anything with light, so like your phone or your TV or your computer or whatever, it's stimulating your brain. And so your brain thinks it's time to be awake. And so it does that. It's awake, and it's thinking, it's engaged, and it's stimulated by noise and by lights and by action. And then when we lay down and try to shut it off, it just doesn't work. So, having that shutdown time, an hour, hour and a half before you go to bed, where you turn your lights down, I don't like overhead lights anyway, but, I turn lamps off. I might leave 1 or 2 lamps on in a room, but I really dim the lights. Taking a hot Epsom salt bath with some essential oils and maybe some baking soda is amazing. Not only is it detoxifying, and the baking soda can, level out your pH levels, and the essential oils are soothing. You're training your brain that, hey, it's time to relax. Your body then can start producing melatonin, which is a chemical that helps you sleep. Take some time and do some stretching. I love yoga. Somebody on the webinar today mentioned Tai Chi. Just, some basic stretching, anything, some deep breathing. Taking 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do a routine in the evenings can be so calming. And again, you are teaching your body and your brain that it's time to settle down. Get a book, a real book with real pages. I read on my Kindle or on my iPad sometimes, but that's stimulating too, right? With the lights and the movement. So get a book. I like to really tune into my senses at night because that's very soothing for me. So I like to put on my pajamas that are really soft and comfortable. And I curl up in a soft blanket that feels really good when I touch it. And it's really comforting, to cover up with. I might diffuse some essential oils because they smell so good. Some lavender or peppermint or whatever scent you find calming and soothing. You light a candle if you don't have essential oils. And just kind of have some downtime. I like to, pet my cat or cuddle with my dogs or cuddle with my daughter. And just do things that are calming and soothing for my senses, for my brain, for my mind, and all of it. That can be so helpful. And then when it's time to turn the lights off and it's time to go to sleep, you're not going from that abrupt going, doing to crash. You've kind of trained your brain and your body, but it's time to relax. It's time to settle down. And it's time to get some rest. And if you have a routine that you follow on a regular basis, your body starts to get used to that, and so it comes easier and easier. The relaxation and the sleep and the rest. So those areas, are some of the biggest no's on the quiz. Other ones are not saying no. We all need to say no sometimes, and we tend to say yes to things because we don't want to hurt people's feelings or because we're honored that we were asked. But, that's not always the best thing for us. Again, if you have not taken the quiz, then please do. Even if that's all you do, if you don't want to do anything else, take the quiz. Because it can really help you to see some different areas of self-care that you might not have considered before. And again, here I want to go back to that challenge that I posed to you at the beginning. I want you to move away from self-care being a list of actions that you do, and I want it to become a way of life and a way of being. And if you take the time to take the quiz, then you learn about the different aspects that encompass self-care. So I really encourage you to do that. I want to touch on a few points now that people tend to struggle with. When I am talking primarily to therapists about self-care, there is so much self-doubt. There's so much fear. There is so much negativity surrounding self-care. Our society has given us this notion that it is selfish to take care of ourselves. We have this scarcity mindset that if I stop doing and I am just being, then I'm going to miss out on something. There's this feeling that other people should take care of themselves, but not me, because I need to take care of everyone else, right? And as therapists and as helping professionals, that's how we empathize with people. We want to put ourselves in your shoes, and we want to know how you feel, and then we want to help you. We want to help you feel better. But we don't. We don't tend to give ourselves the same respect and the same compassion. And let's face it, therapy can be tough to do. It is very energetically draining. We hear stuff all day long that is scary and bad and sad and anxiety producing. And we somehow think that we're supposed to just dismiss that at the end of the day. But, you know, therapists are really prone to compassion fatigue and to getting burned out because of the high level of stress and the high level of intensity and things that we do on a regular basis and we hear on a regular basis. You know, it's just kind of part of the job. But you know, that scarcity mindset, the fear. You know, I've mentioned this in talking with people before. I used to go around in this perpetual state of this sense of urgency. It's like anything I had to do now, I have to do it now. I have to get it done now. And if I didn't, like, it seemed really bad, and it seemed like something really bad was going to happen for some reason. You know, and most of the time I don't have a bear chasing me, or no one's holding a gun to my head. And so there is no real sense of urgency, except for the sense of urgency that I create. And that is false. And I have learned that sense of urgency always comes from a place of fear. A place of fear that I'm not enough, I'm not going to do enough, I'm not going to be enough, you know, something. And I see that mindset so often when I talk to other clinicians, other therapists, other helping professionals about self-care. It's that self-doubt, that fear, that scarcity mindset that I really want to encourage us to move past. I really want to, again, go back to encouraging you to think of self-care as a way of being that you deserve, that everyone deserves, that it is important to take care of yourself. It is just as important to take care of yourself and your needs as it is to take care of other people. Because we cannot keep giving if we don't, right? We can't. We cannot keep helping and empathizing and talking and serving if we don't stop and serve ourselves. And, you know, I got so burned out before I realized that. And if I can keep anyone from having to experience that, then that's fantastic. Okay, so kind of looking through my notes, I think I've pretty much touched on most of the things that I had intended on talking about in the webinar. I was going to take some questions, but since we're not live, I can't do that. But I do want to encourage you to think about your self-care and to really kind of try to see what you can do to tweak your mindset, and what you do and what you think and how you talk to yourself and how you deal with yourself. There are some amazing people on the Real Self-Care Facebook page for therapists. If you are not on it, please find me on Facebook. Please search Real Self-Care for Therapists, and please join us. I'm kind of having a little contest over there now. When we get to 500 members, then I'm going to make an announcement about something that I decided that I think will be really fun and awesome, and I think people will like it. But I really want to share it with as many people as possible, so I'm not announcing it till we get to 500 members. And I looked earlier today, and we're at 450. So we're really close, and hopefully we can get there, and I can make my announcement. I do want to tell you about some ways that you can get more support in your self-care journey. You know, there's a number of things that you can do if you're not ready to invest in yourself yet. You can get on the Facebook page. You can go to my website, www.realselfcare.com. and I have some free stuff on there. You can get the quiz again. I have a report with, gosh, like over 25 just self-care tips. And so you can get that stuff for free, and you can tune into the Facebook page and my blog. I have a Psych Central blog, The Whole Self, and I write lots of self-care tips and stuff on that. So I encourage you to follow along and to take what you can from that and implement it into your own life. I do have some other things to help you out, and this is the part where I tell you what I offer. And I would love to work with you. I would love for you to purchase a program from me or work with me individually, but only if you are there. Only if you are ready to really dig deep and to look at yourself and to look at the different areas of self-care and really implement some changes. If you are there, I have created an online program that is called Real Self-Care, Radiant, Essential, Amazing, Life-Changing Self-Care. And it is an 8-week or an 8-module program. The first week is the foundation. Where are you? Where are you at right now? We'll talk a little bit more about the quiz and what you're doing now. And the second week, we focus on values and identifying the values and then using them in your life. We talk about environments, and there's a whole module dedicated to your internal and external environment and how to make that beneficial to your self-care. We talk about support. Look at the support in your life and the people in your life and who is serving you and who is not. And we look at some ways to improve your support. We talk about mindfulness, being present, being aware, being here now and not, in the future or in the past or, anywhere else, but being mindful here. And there's a whole module on creativity and in playing. And I give you a fun little project to do with your creativity. There. We talk about spirituality. And that does not have to be religion. It might be for you, but maybe it is, yoga can be spiritual, or nature is spiritual for some people. A connection to anything bigger than us, this idea of the universe, or, or God, or whatever spirituality means to you. We take a look at that. I talk about the principles of yoga in the spirituality module, because to me they are a really, really awesome way to tune into what's bigger than us and tune into how we are all interconnected, and how if we follow these principles, we follow these guidelines that are laid out, things tend to fall into place better for us, and we tend to come to a better place in our lives when we do that. So the program covers 8 modules. The content is dripped out, 1 new module a week. There are videos on some of the modules. There's some additional quizzes. There are some worksheets. There's a guided meditation on one. There's writing prompts where you can go in and write. And I'll check that and respond and kind of give you some feedback. One thing that I'm adding that will be just sort of a trial basis, and so if you sign up by the end of January, then you are going to get, if you choose to, text message motivators. So text messages sent directly to your phone or however you want to receive them, to encourage you and to check in and to hold you accountable and to remind you that you are on a journey. You are on a journey to self-care. And I think it's really important for me to remember to remind you that this is a journey of no judgment. And so, you know, you're working on your self-care, and you're not going to be in the same place that somebody else is, but that's okay. You know, you're not going to be able to implement everything that you want immediately, but that's okay too. And so the text messages, I think, are a really good way of keeping you on track and keeping you accountable. So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to just kind of check over my notes that I made here. Make sure that I didn't miss anything. Continuing education. I am an approved continuing education provider by the National Board of Certified Counselors. And so if you are interested in receiving a continuing education hour certificate, then let me know, and I'll have to get you an evaluation form to fill out, and then I can get that for you. It's free of charge. This is just all, you know, today I want you to start thinking about your self-care. Those of you who are ready and who want to dive into the program and who know they need some additional support, I would love to have you sign up for Real Self-Care. I have put a lot of love and effort into that program, and I created it to be a program that I wish I had had when I started my journey of self-care. And so my hope is that it really benefits you, that it can assist you in delving into what you need to delve into and really making some positive changes in your life and in your self-care. I will put the link to the program in the follow-up email that you will get if you signed up for the webinar. And I would love to have you join me. If you have any questions about it, feel free to call me or text me or send me messages. All my contact information is on my website. You can also go to the direct link for the program on my website, which is, again, www.realselfcare.org. And if you go to services and then online courses and then Real Self-Care, that will take you directly to the page to sign up for the program if you are interested. So anyway, okay, again, if you were on the webinar today, I'm really sorry that didn't work out as planned, but I hope that this video has been helpful and has given you some ideas and given you some new ways to look at self-care. And again, I challenge you to think about self-care as a way of being, not as an action list of doing. All right, please let me know how I can support you. Thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen, and please take care of yourself. All right, thank you.